Ladies and gentlemen, I want to do an analysis and a recap on this debate that took place on July 26, 2024, a day that will live in infamy. It was a debate between Moist Critical and Sneeko. And I do not know how, on God's green earth, Moist Critical could have lost and lost as badly as he did. Because Sneeko's argument, his position, was so easily defeated. I'm honestly seriously incredulous. I cannot imagine how stupid and immoral and pathetic you would have to be to lose to Sneeko on this particular topic. And Moist Critical did, because his position was actually worse than Sneeko's. And all of this is with the understanding that if you watch the debate, Moist Critical got Sneeko to admit that he would be in favor under the right circumstances if, the person was mature enough and the family agreed that he would be okay with an 18-year-old marrying a 12-year-old. That was the position that Sneeko took, and Moist Critical still lost. Now, why did he lose? Well, everyone online is talking about it. Everyone online is discussing it because Moist Critical's position, his morals, were somehow worse than that. I want you to really breathe that in. Moist Critical's ideas and morals were worse than that. Don't believe me? I don't blame you. But it's all over social media now. The clips are here. And so we're going to listen to a clip, an engagement between Sneeko and Moist Critical, where Moist Critical articulates that he believes that a child should be able to consent to mutilating and castrating and sterilizing themselves forever. If a kid is 9, he believes that if the kid decides and the parents decide that that kid should be able to irrevocably change his life forever. So that kid believes, oh well, I'm a girl, so I want to get this life-changing surgery. I want to get completely castrated. I want to take these hormones. Keep in mind, Moist Critical doesn't think that this person can basically consent to anything because they don't have a fully functional brain. They don't have the ability to consent. He admits multiple times, a child, somebody who's 9, 10, 11, 12, their brain hasn't fully developed. They can't make this cognitive decision to consent to marriage or consent to, sexual relations or any of that, which I actually agree with. But then he goes on to say, well, yeah, but a 9-year-old should be able to make this life-altering determination. And essentially, this kid should be able to take himself out of the gene pool. Because that's essentially what it is. This kid would eventually grow up normal, healthy, maybe grow out of this delusion, this social trend, this evil demonic spectacle, this cult that we're living through, be able to go on and have kids and have a relatively normal life. Most critical thing is, well, no, we should be able to do the most maximum harm on this person mentally and physically. That's normal. That's okay to Moist Critical. So, I'm going to let him say it in his own words. I think that this is a stunning indictment. But I think that you need to hear this from him, Moist Critical himself.
Do you believe that somebody can go through hormone therapy? Can they change their gender if they're a child?
I think that's totally fine as long as everyone is consenting.
Okay, so as long as everyone...
Parents are okay with it and you are okay with it, I think that's totally a family decision to make, yeah.
Okay, so...
That is a reprehensible and evil statement. By the way, what we've seen a lot in these cases are the father being horrified and wanting to fight against this, and the mother making the decision to do this to the kid. I think that what Moist Critical said there is just purely evil. I don't think there's any ands, ifs, or buts about it. I don't think there's any way that you can possibly logically make it make sense. I think that ultimately, when you are advocating for that for a kid, like, hey, you're 9 years old, you're 8 years old, you're 7 years old, there is no circumstance where that is okay. None. Zero. Zilch. The fact that he's okay with that, I don't even really know what to say. If you're new to the channel, I don't like Moist Critical. I've made it abundantly clear. I don't like the guy. I really don't. I think he's a coward. I think he's an idiot. I think that ultimately he goes with the flow because he doesn't have the testicular fortitude to stand up with his chest out and basically say what he means on important issues. He's afraid of getting canceled. He has basically become the typical streamer and content creator with a ridiculous left-wing bias, and he's afraid to step out. We're going to watch the rest of this clip, by the way, but it's one of the reasons why I admire Asmongold as much as I do, because I disagree with Asmongold on a whole bunch of stuff vehemently, passionately. There are things that I really disagree with him on. I disagree with a lot of his instincts, a lot of his knee-jerk reactions, but I admire the fact that he's willing to talk about these issues, talk about them openly, and talk about them in a way that at least, at the bare minimum, can make sense to me in some regard. Like, I don't agree with it, but I understand it. This, I don't understand it, and I don't agree with it. I don't understand how a person could come to this conclusion. Like, anyway, yeah, let's listen to more, and then I'll give my feedback.
A child can cut their penis off and take hormone blockers and change their biology forever, but they can't get married?
Well, that's a decision that now extends beyond the family, because now you're bringing in a different party. So if you have someone that's your age coming in saying, I want to marry that child, I don't think that can happen under any circumstance.
But it's still a personal decision. You're still deciding. Because take the other party out of the equation. It's a personal decision. If I'm 16 and I personally want to marry this girl, she's beautiful. She's 21 years old. Her family wants to do it. My family wants to do it. You're saying I can't do that. We're both consenting. I'm ready to go. I'm physically mature, but I'm not allowed to marry because Moy says that woman's a pedophile. But if then the next day I leave it, I'm depressed, I want to cut my penis off, I can go right into the clinic, snip it off, and start taking HRT like Chris Tyson. That's a society that makes sense to you?
It is. I believe everyone has I believe everyone has the right to do with their body what they want to do.
Oh my God. I mean, you listen to that, and it's such a revelation, an insight into the mind of these streamers and these content creators that little kids do look up to, do idolize. I just find it repugnant and reprehensible. How could you have that position? You believe that a child can consent to something that is going to ruin their life forever. This isn't like something where it's like, okay, I want to dress up as a girl. I would disagree with that. But if you're dressing up, you're a boy, you're like, oh, I'm a girl. I'm going to wear a dress. I'm going to wear high heels. Like Chris Tyson posting pictures of his boy child with high heel shoes. It's like, I find that to be reprehensible and repugnant. But at the end of the day, the harm in that is more so purely psychological, and it's just gross. I'm like, I disagree with that. However, that kid could totally grow up to be a normal kid. He could totally grow up and be perfectly fine. When you start introducing surgery and you start introducing drugs, that changes the dynamic of the entire thing. And for Moist Critical to admit that he's okay with that is a stunning indictment. That is an absolutely reprehensible position. That is absolutely ridiculous. And I really, really wanted to highlight that. Ugh. I mean, it just. So let's maybe I'll pull up another. Here. Let me pull up another clip of Moist Critical. And by the way, I'm not just coming at him because I think Sneeko was great. No, I disagreed with Sneeko several times during that debate. But at the very least, I look at Sneeko's position and go, I disagree with that, but I understand what he's saying. Comparing Sneeko's position to Moist Critical's position, it's both a losing proposition. I think both of them are bad. But if you were to do what Sneeko agreed to, you had a fully mature, 12-year-old marrying an 18-year-old, and both families agreed. It's like, in the eventuality that maybe that 18-year-old did something wrong, they could annul the marriage, they could get a divorce, that person could go on to live a normal life. The reality that you are going to be able to recover from a decision where you irrevocably alter yourself, I think that in and of itself, that bit there, is just so profoundly evil. It is child abuse. So here we have another clip. It's a short one. It says Moist Critical hesitates to refer to Chris Tyson as her because he knows deep down that it is
Chris Tyson. You know what's so silly about the situation is when you talked about Chris Tyson. Did you see the number one viral clip I saw? And I know you saw it. Did you see it?
Which one?
People were getting angry at you that you misgendered Chris Tyson.
I didn't misgender anybody though. I only referred to Ava by her name.
I heard
misgendering.
I saw the clip that went viral. It was they.
Well, yeah, I used they, but I only used her name, and I used they when referring to most people in general. I say they a lot. And when I was at the Mr. Beast thing, Ava was referred to by they, by one of the staff, so I just played it safe and said Ava. And I didn't want to offend anybody because I am not transphobic. Like, I never have.
so I mean, it's like, again, it's a moment where the conversation is now no longer about this monster and what they did and their egregious behavior. It's about, oh, well, you're bad because you didn't use the right pronouns. You didn't affirm them. You didn't affirm them in the way that we think that you should. Now, I've made my position on this perfectly clear. I think, for the sake of societal politeness, that if I were to see somebody who's transgender in public, and by the way, you can always tell. You can always tell that they're, I think for the sake of societal politeness, you would either say nothing, or you just humor them. You'd be like, oh, okay. You just basically, for the sake of being polite, because you don't want to humiliate them. It's not the point. The point is not to humiliate. However, if it's revealed that you are a sex offender, or you are a pedo, or you decide that you're going to go and shoot up a Christian school, as was the case with the Nashville shooter, if you're going to commit some terrible act, that politeness is over, and you are referred to by what we all know you to be. And I think that's fair. I think that is absolutely fair. I don't think there should be any debate about that. The argument went all over the place. I mean, it was rather fascinating. It went into all different directions, which I think ultimately was a missed opportunity. Because what it really should have been was hyper-focusing on this one issue. Really bringing to light just how bad this was. And you could have Sneeko and Moist Critical coming together to basically shake hands like the meme. Arnold and, Apollo Creed. Coming together to really be like, yeah, we both condemn this. We have differences of opinion, But we both come together to agree that this is really, really bad. And that's not really what it was. It was like 30 seconds to a minute. It was very, very short talking about the incident itself. And then it just evolved into a series of unrelated, just, philosophical debates about different things relating to age of consent. And then Moist Critical constantly just absolutely shooting himself in the foot, metaphorically speaking, by constantly making these clips and sound bites that just sound horrible. I mean, just the worst. So I may do a full reaction to this. I may just go the hour plus and do a reaction. But as of now, it's such a disappointment. But it reveals so much about these streamers like Moist Critical that I've been saying for a long time. And a lot of people think it's just sour grapes. They think, oh, you're just jealous or anything. No, I'm here to tell you that these people within the content creator community, they are awful, stupid, retarded people that do not have a leg to stand on when it comes to morality. Most, if not all of them, are godless. Like, you mean to tell me that you think that Hassan Piker, for example, is anyone that you should emulate on any degree, on any level? One of the most immediately reprehensible, low IQ, bottom feeding, subhuman piles of garbage? Somebody that capitalizes on suffering and misfortune and tries to spread it for his own personal gain? Yeah, not really what I would consider to be a picture of emulation. It's not what I believe people should strive for, to be a vacuous, ridiculous, oafish, retarded pile of human shit that's obviously several generations inbred. Like, you don't get to be genuinely as retarded as Hassan without several generations of inbreed. We're like talking hundreds of years. You got to be marrying your sister to get to somebody as ridiculous as him. But with Moist Critical, there's really no excuse. There's really no excuse for what he said. There's no excuse for his position, and I think that ultimately, if I were him, I would do my best to distance myself from this position. And the idea that I'm an ally, it's like, oh my God, it's like we're talking about it. You know what it would be like? Let me make a comparison. Because Moist Critical has done videos similar to this on like EDP 445. He's talked about how terrible this is. It would be like in the middle of that, Moist Critical being really concerned about EDP 445's reflection in the words that he uses and the language. Oh, I have to be very delicate when I talk about EDP 445. I have to be very deferential. Because I don't want to be perceived as like racist. They might think I'm racist if I don't refer to EDP 445 in the most polite terms. It's like, dude, we're dealing with pedophiles here. We're dealing with people who harm children. But in this instance, in this situation, even Moist Critical seems to have this underlying pressure that he really, really wants to get the language just right because he's apparently afraid. Pathetic. Anyway, that'll do it for today's video. Thanks for watching. See you next time.